If no one has told you already, art school is a scam. Now I'm going to explain why. Hi, my name is Elise, and I dropped out of FIT. In this video, I'll be drawing my 2024 October Zombie Apocalypse poster featuring Ash and Thomas, my main two OCs, for the webcomic I am developing. In this is the second time I'm recording this video, because I really wanted to give you guys a whole picture of why I dropped out and why I believe art school is a scam. So this video may be split into two parts. Disclaimer: everything I cover in this video is based on my own opinions and experiences. I only went to FIT for a semester, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, and make sure to make your own decisions this coming January about what college you're going to go to, if you are going to go to college. Also, I decided in order to make my thoughts clear, I won't be talking about why I dropped out in the specific sections or chapters, but the general ideas talked about in this video will be stated in the description. The second part of this video will probably be mostly about art school culture, but anyways, let's get into it. Let's start with a little bit of context. I was a communication design associate's major at FIT with the intent to get my bachelor's degree in digital media design. If you didn't know, FIT splits their degree programs into two parts: a general yet specific associate's degree, and then a bachelor's related to your associates. Before going to FIT, while in high school, I attended a technical college for graphic design. I was also a AP art student, and I was dual enrolled in a community college. But let's not focus on that. What's most important was at the time I spent at the technical college. At the technical school, I learned the basics of graphic design through assignments. Assignments are meant to build my professional portfolio, but weren't exactly the kind of quality I was looking for. I certified in all of the main Adobe products, but the work I was created at the technical college wasn't up to the standards of the industry, so I decided at the time that I needed to go to art school that will help me make the quality portfolio and connections in the industry that I needed. I now know that going to art school kind of wasn't necessary, and going to FIT I wasted time and money for things I already know. At FIT you have to take foundation classes specific to your major, but since I had already attended a technical college for graphic design, I already knew everything that was taught in the foundation classes. The foundation classes I took that semester were vector graphics, design history, design studio, and art history. Design history and art history basically covered the same things, except obviously design history was more focused on graphic design, which was more relevant to my major than art history. So basically I was taking design and art history for the third time because the subject was already at the time covered in my technical college. So then I took vector graphics. Vector graphics was about learning the basics of Illustrator. I think I actually got the most of this class out of my whole experience there. Since I had an extensive previous experience in Illustrator, I dedicated my time in this class to making professional portfolio work. So I didn't feel like I was wasting my time, because in reality, I was. I had already learned the basics of Illustrator, Photoshop, and Premiere Pro, and I was so ahead of my classmates in terms of skills that I would end up teaching them the programs faster than the professor who was teaching the class. And the worst class I had to take was Design Studio. On FIT's website, Design Studio course description states, Through assignments primarily executed in black and white, students will develop an understanding and appreciation of the possibilities of the design vocabulary. Assemblage and paper construction are introduced to assist the development of hand skills. This was a very fancy way of stating that we would be cutting composition of shapes in black and white with a sprinkle of learning the basics of art and design vocabulary. Well, not even, because my professor did not care about that part of the class. Honestly, I learned more about the basics of design at my technical college than what was happening at FIT for this class, based on what they were supposed to cover. 50% of the class was spent painstakingly cutting poster boards into squares, triangles, and worst of all, circles. The material list for this class was over $200, and 70% of the materials we didn't use. Granted, unlike some of my classmates, I worked smarter, not harder, and only bought the things that I needed when necessary, not at the beginning of the semester, in which later my teacher would admit that they didn't even look at the material list. So, good thinking on me, pass me. Quality art supplies are expensive, which kind of brings me to my next point, that art schools are too expensive for the value they are supposed to provide. Before you think of art school as a place to learn, think of it as a place to build your skills, portfolio, and connections within the industry. It's important to remember first that colleges are businesses, whether public or private, whether for-profit or not. And businesses aim to make money from the value they provide to their students. The value in this case for college students is connections, whether it be through professors or their peers. But this value comes at a cost of hundreds and thousands of dollars in the long run. At the time of accepting going to FIT, I wasn't able to consider what the long run looked like, because I was experiencing a lot of firsts in my life. I got my first credit and debit card. I got my first job. I got 2 months before school started my first paycheck. And I had my first terrible job. I didn't have the understanding of finances that I now have today. So now I can say with maturity that the cost of attending art school is not feasible for the average student, especially in New York City. At the time of me attending FIT, the summer before, I had applied to more than 100 jobs, and when I got there, I applied to 100 more. But looking back on it with a clear mind, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. The job market had just crashed the way things are today. I wasn't applying to real jobs that were hiring, and if I was, there are hundreds or thousands more or less qualified candidates than me, making getting a job to sustain myself for more than a semester impossible. The odds weren't in my favor, which led me to my choice of dropping out of FIT indefinitely. However, those probably weren't the only reasons why I'd never go back to that school. Like most freshmen and sophomores, I chose to live in the dorms, since they're right across the street, literally. There are 2 buildings available for this group of students. One was modern, the other one was old. One was expensive, the other one was cheap. Based on my situation, could you guys choose? Guess which one I chose? I'll give you 5 seconds. I chose the cheap one. Honestly, the building being old didn't bother me that much. And the air in the building smelled like dust and mold, but that's a thing you can individually fix with like air freshener in your dorm, or light incense away from the fire alarms without having the whole building evacuate every night, which did almost happen because it was 3 nights consecutively. But what you can't fix is basic maintenance such as plumbing or Wi-Fi. For 3 months since I moved in, the ceiling was leaking water every time someone took a shower. It was leaking so much water, I had to regularly change a bucket every night before bed. I'm sure you're wondering, Elise, why didn't you call maintenance? I did. Want to guess how many times? I'll give you a few seconds. You guessed wrong. I called a minimum of 5 times. Minimum. Every once in a while, someone would come, stare at it in shock with a literal Pikachu face, and then leave, never to be seen again. It took me telling my RA to get maintenance to do your jobs for it to be fixed before Thanksgiving. It wasn't only maintenance I had an ongoing problem with for months. As soon as I moved in, I noticed the Ethernet was broken. For all the non-tech savvy girlies, an Ethernet is basically a wired form of Wi-Fi, or the most simple terms I can explain it to you. So I immediately reported it after buying a new Ethernet cable, because I'm a gamer girly. I need to be able to game in order to manage my daily life. I play Apex, Genshin, and several other online games where the internet is necessary. Every email interaction I had with the help desk was them basically gaslighting me that it was a me problem, not it's a broken problem. Eventually, I convinced them to come look at it and prove them wrong. But it shouldn't have taken months of reporting for both of these problems to be solved, especially since I had already paid a maintenance fee in my tuition. Maybe this is a regional thing or a cultural thing, but when people who are in need of help don't do their jobs because it's annoying to them, it kind of shows how much they care. And it kind of showed me that FIT doesn't care about their students, in my opinion. I chose FIT because I thought it could provide the value I was looking for as a student. I was thinking in the old-fashioned way where you live and where you live is where you work. And that is true for most cases. But for graphic design, that's not the only option. For an art degree especially, that is not the only option. I thought I needed to go to art school to build a professional looking portfolio. But that is no longer true. There's thousands of online resources for a fraction of the cost that can help you reach your goals, as long as you have enough determination and confidence. I thought it was absolutely necessary to go to art school in order to build connections to potential employers. That's not true. Well, actually, that is somewhat true. But not the employers. They continuously advertise on their websites, if you know what I mean, like Google, Sony, etc. The connections I'm talking about are connections to your peers and your professors and the guest seekers and alumni if you put enough genuine work and effort. The scene in the creative field has changed in the last hundreds of years, and the way we approach it must also change as well. Which brings me to why I dropped out of art school, part 2, where I will focus on the art culture at FIT. and in New York City generally. Thank you so much to listen to me ramble, and feel free to follow the speed paint until the end for the final results, where you can also find on my Instagram. Or tell me about your art school experience, or even better, comment any questions you have below. And if you haven't already, watch my previous video, which provides context about how I got into FIT, Parsons, or Mass Art. I aim to post on YouTube and post on Instagram at least once a week. Well, YouTube, now once a month. But it would be lovely to hear from you again. Drink some water, and don't forget to do something creative today. Toodles!